not a politician. So I don't want to offend at least everybody once here this afternoon. I'm flat.
But I'm here to educate and to be educated. So I'm going to make a few comments and perhaps open it up for some questions and answers and take it from there. You know, first of all, when you think about the United States of America,
It's not a singular proper noun, it's a plurality. And we have to put everything in its proper context, which is, of course, states' rights. When you start thinking, where did this country go wrong? How did we get to this point? Well, things seem to be happening rather quickly, but it's been a very incremental process. And our system was derailed in all probability, at least based upon my research and colleagues that I respect, at Appomattox in 1865. Even Lord Acton made the comment that more was lost at Appomattox than at Waterloo. Our system fundamentally changed. And it changed because the Constitution was more or less dealt a fatal blow. And that fatal blow was to the states' rights, to American federalism. So you think about things such as secession, interposition, nullification, the rule of law. They really were dealt a serious setback as a result of the centralization that flowed from the defeat of the Confederacy and the victorious Union armies. And I don't have time to go into it in much detail, but much of what we're seeing today occurred during and immediately following that particular conflict. The fiscal policy of the United States was changed fundamentally. It was known as the age of the Great Barbecue because Wall Street was really feeling its strength. It was using the power of the national government for patronage at an unprecedented level. And then it would wax and wane through the years, but we see that it's sort of hit hyperdrive recently. But in order to understand where we are and where we might be heading, let's consider the pre-war period. Now, the previous speaker was speaking about democracy and getting the people's input into the decision-making process, which is good if the people have political virtue. But I'm sorry to say that people do not have political virtue. Much of our problem today is done not by what's known as a democratic process in the traditional sense, but through polling data that decision makers use to get the pulse of the electorate. I'm sorry to say, but if you do what the people want, you're going to get yourself into more trouble. They lack the civic virtue to be in charge. And that's why Edmund Burke is important to keep in mind. We want trustees in national office under a limited form of government. What's a trustee as opposed to a delegate? A delegate does what the people want. And the framers, read the Federalist Papers, that's the worst form of government. It's majority rule, which they called majority tyranny without the checks and balances. We need people with integrity that we can trust, with political power within the constraints of a constitutional republic. And I'm doing research for think tanks right now on civics education, and it is dire. Yes, people are getting more involved. Yes, No Child Left Behind has put civics education to the curriculum of just about every school in the United States. But it's not the type of civics education the framers had in mind. It's civics engagement. It's teaching people how to place demands on the system, a system that's geared towards redistribution. Things are not good, and we need to go back to fundamentals. Now, the framers gave us a legacy, a patrimony that we still can protect ourselves from an omnipotent, omnipresent government, and that's what we're having today. So you ask yourself, or yourselves, what should we do? What are the checks and balance, the remnants that are left? Don't look at the Constitution. That's the problem with conservatives. They look at the Constitution. That's one of the things I hear. We got to vote for McCain because of the Supreme Court. That's a fallacy. McCain cannot be trusted. McCain is worse, I hate to say, than a President Obama. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Now that sounds like heresy, but it's true. People say, well, why are you throwing your vote away for voting for a third-party candidate? And I said, I'm not throwing it away. I cherish my vote. But I'm not going to tarnish it by giving to somebody who's going to abuse it. Now, when I think about the Constitution Party, I think almost like opportunities missed.